places life might be hiding on the red planet. There are Mars's tremendous volcanoes, some of them 6 times larger than those on Earth. Astrobiologist Penny Boston studies the caves, called lava tubes, left over after volcanic lava has dissipated. Not long ago, we assumed caves like these were devoid of life. They get no sunlight, and no sunlight means no photosynthesis. But in lava tubes outside Albuquerque, New Mexico, Boston has found evidence of extreme life.
Because we know Mars has many, many lava tubes. And so here we have the opportunity to see how these formed and also to look at the life that inhabits them.
The extremophiles Boston has found appear to be thriving. They get their energy by feeding on the minerals in the cave wall.
So here we're up close to the wall, and you can see these white patches here growing against the black basalt. And each one of these is like a major city for these little guys. They're all nestled in these little pockets in the basalt. And so these guys are permanently adapted to these freezing temperatures. They never see any light, and they get what they can find in the environment.
Are there creatures like these in the caves below Mars's volcano fields? Boston thinks so.
We are going to find life, and I just hope that I live a long and healthy life so that I can still be around to see that.
We may already have had our first glimpse of Martians, not from our visit to their planet, but from their visit to ours. 16 million years ago, an asteroid slammed into Mars and propelled a 2-kilogram rock into space. Amazingly, that rock sailed to Earth and came to rest in Antarctica. Inside, NASA scientist David McKay and Everett Gibson were amazed to spot the outlines of fossils. Water has carved small tunnels in the rock. And in these tunnels, McKay and Gibson found what they believed to be evidence of bacterial life.
These are little microbes, and they're dead, and they're fossils, or in some cases, we don't even see the forms. We see the footprints or the evidence that they were there.
Life from Mars? Maybe. The hunt is only just beginning. NASA plans to send a rover called Phoenix to Mars.
Unless there's something extraordinarily miraculous about our solar system or our planet, then life has got to be extremely commonplace. I mean, there's got to be large numbers of worlds with life, and some of them would have cooked up intelligent life.
In the beginning, our Earth was as deadly a planet as any. Over the first billion years of Earth's existence, cosmic debris pummeled it mercilessly. The impacts turned its surface into a broiling, seething inferno where life was impossible. But once the solar system settled down and the Earth began to cool, water appeared, setting the stage for life. In 1953, researcher Stanley Miller proved in a lab experiment just how easily life on Earth got its start. He combined water with hydrogen, methane, and ammonia, components of the Earth's early atmosphere. Then he zapped his solution with an electric charge to simulate lightning. His results shocked the world. Miller had created organic molecules called amino acids, the protein building blocks of all living things. If lightning helped jumpstart life on Earth, could it have done the same on other planets? Galactic probes have now found the ingredients in Miller's experiment throughout our solar system, including one essential to life.
One of the requirements that every form of life that we know about on Earth has, every single one, is liquid water. We've used evidence for liquid water to kind of guide our search for habitable environments.
Our safari is headed to 7 worlds, some possibly rich in water, where scientists believe aliens might be hiding. While any life there might have begun much like life on Earth, how it looks now is anyone's guess. We begin in the world that has always fired our imaginations, the planet right next door, Mars. Of all the planets where we've looked for life, it's the one we've studied most. The scientist who may get the first look at Martians, if they're found, is Steve Squires, principal investigator for NASA's Mars rovers.
Mars has always had, among all the planets, I think, a special fascination for humans. For a very long time, we've known enough about Mars to know that it is probably the most Earth-like.
It may be the most like Earth, with an atmosphere and seasons, but we humans would perish quickly on Mars. Its air is thin, 40 times thinner than the air at the top of Mount Everest. And it sits in a bad neighborhood of our
minority of the population. For example, if you show people a photograph which has actually been computer generated of them from their childhood going on a balloon ride, and this photograph is in with lots of photographs from things in their childhood which really did take place, a sizable minority will actually quite happily tell you about the time they went up in a hot air balloon when they were 6, even though that event never actually took place. We do know that we're all potentially prone to these false memories, much more so than we would ever have once guessed.
False memory syndrome is based on the idea that memory is faulty. And memory is faulty. Obviously, I'm living proof that memory is faulty the older I get. The fact is, though, that memory is not so faulty that people are going to forget entire events. They might get details wrong. They might get their chronology out of order a little bit. But the fact that they were, for example, in a train crash or something like that, they're not going to forget that event. Without anecdotal evidence, without human memory, without the ability to retrieve memories, we would not have a judicial system and a civilization would grind to a halt.
Psychologists have developed a wide range of plausible theories to explain why individuals believe they've been abducted by aliens. But all of them have ultimately been countered by ufologists.
It has ranged from simply lying to psychosis, it's mass hallucination, it's mass hysteria. It goes on and on and on. There is no end to it.
However, skeptics believe there is one simple factor that makes their case watertight.
As a scientist, I'm interested in the question of whether or not there is anything happening here in terms of objective reality. If there's no way of us being able to produce any kind of evidence, hard physical evidence, then I'd say that what we're looking at is essentially a psychological phenomenon.
In order to really challenge the skeptic's argument, ufologists need to find evidence that can stand up to scientific scrutiny. In France, one of the Real 4400 believe they may hold the proof ufologists have been looking for.
Je me considère absolument rationnel, à la fois dans les activités et dans les pensées que j'ai.
Eric Julien is a retired pilot and air